9 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few pitchers I look to drop this week. The first guy, Alex Cobb of the San Francisco Giants. So right here, Alex Cobb signed a decent contract in the offseason here to come to San Francisco, and so far, it's more the usual for Cobb, not pitching good baseball, and he's been on the injured list once already this season, and now he's banged up as well with a back injury, but it's looking like he might avoid the IL. But anyway, on the season, 37 and 2/3, 3-2 record, 44 hits, 24 earned runs, 12 walks, 47 strikeouts, only one quality start, a 5.73 ERA, and a 1.49 whip. So right here, he's pretty much going out there and not doing anything for fantasy owners, and it's pretty surprising to me that Cobb's still owned in 40% of fantasy leagues. I know his last outing he pitched good, but that Cincinnati Red team, one of the worst teams in the league here, and I wouldn't take much into consideration that outing. It was just versus a bad team, and he pitched well. So the last few outings here for Cobb, May 17th at the Rockies, 5 1/3, got the win. Gave up 10 hits though, 7 runs, a walk, 4 Ks. Got a fluky win in that one. May 23rd versus the Mets, they hit him pretty good, 6 innings, got the loss. 10 hits again, 6 earned runs, 7 Ks. And then May 29th, he had a nice bounce back at a bad Red team, like I mentioned. 6 innings, no decision, 4 hits, 2 runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks. So right here, Cobb's been lit up the last 2 out of 3 outings. The injury don't help. And his ERA is almost at a 6 year, so there's no reason to hold him in 10 and 12 team leagues. And I think he's a pretty easy pitcher to drop this week. I know he's on a good Giant team, but he's just not performing this season. The next guy is Kyle Gibson of the Philadelphia Phillies. So Gibson, he was off to a hot start early in the season, but he's really fizzled out over the last month of the season. Here is Gibson on the year, 57 1/3, 3-2 record, 56 hits, 28 earned runs, 17 walks, 52 strikeouts, 4 quality starts, but a 4.40 ERA and a 1.27 whip. So right here, it just hasn't been good for him, and he's in a tough division with good hitting teams as well, with the Mets, who are obviously in first. The Atlanta Braves, their bats are starting to get going, and they're hitting the baseball, and they're a team that could break out at any time as well here. And Gibson and the Phillies, they've been struggling for the most part, even though since Joe Girardi got fired, they're actually 3-0. So the last few games here for Gibson, May 24th at Atlanta, 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 8 Ks. May 30th versus San Francisco, 6 innings, no decision, 3 hits, 2 runs, a walk, 4 Ks, quality start. And then June 5th, he got lit up by the Los Angeles Angels, even though the Phillies came back late in that one and won it 3 1/3, no decision, 6 hits, 5 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. So right here, he's only got 2 quality starts here as Gibson since May 8th, and he's just not getting the job done. He pitches in a tough ballpark as well here, obviously, where Philly's a bandbox and opposing teams are going to come in and score some runs, and a pretty tough division with some good hitting teams, like I mentioned, with the Mets and Braves. So right now, he's struggling. Fantasy owners have dropped him in 3% of fantasy league, and I would definitely drop Gibson as well. No doubt about it, he could bounce back and have a good second half of the season here, but right now, he's not really contributing to fantasy owners, and after getting bombed a couple games ago, I would drop him. The next guy was staying in the NL East is Charlie Morton of the Atlanta Braves. So Morton, he's a guy for a few weeks here I thought would turn things around and get going, but that just hasn't been the case here this season. A very bad season for Morton. 54 1/3, 4-3 record, 58 hits, 34 earned runs, 25 walks, 54 strikeouts, a 5.63 ERA, a 1.53 whip, and only 1 quality start on the season. So he's not going deep into games. He's not being a quality pitcher. I know this Brave team, they're starting to break out a little bit with the bats. But Morton, he's just not getting the job done. And it's still surprising to me he's owned in 88% of fantasy leagues here. And like I mentioned, 1 quality start on the season is not going to get the job done for me. May 25th versus Philly, 4 1/3, no decision, 9 hits, 4 runs, a walk, 4 Ks. May 31st at Arizona, 5 innings, 4 runs, 4 hits, 2 walks, 5 Ks, no decision. And June 5th at the Rockies, he only went 5 innings, but he got the win in that one. 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, 8 Ks. So Morton, the one thing I'll give him is his strikeouts are still good. 1 per inning he's averaging this season, but everything else is way down. The wins, 4-3, surprisingly he's got a good record, but the ERA's ballooned up there. And 1 quality start's unacceptable on the season. So right now, Charlie Morton in 10 and 12 team leagues, I probably would drop him, even though this Brave team really could get things going, and maybe he could turn things around. But right now, he's not a good fantasy contributor, in my opinion, and I would drop him this week. The next guy's Matthew Liberatore of the St. Louis Cardinals. So Liberatore came up for a few starts here, the top pitching prospect in the Cardinals system, but he got optioned once again for the second time in 3 weeks here to the minor leagues. So on the season for him, 13 innings, 1-1 record, 15 hits, 8 runs, 8 walks, 10 Ks. So he had the 5.54 ERA in the 13 innings and a 1.77 whip is Liberatore in 3 starts here with the club. So right now, there's no reason to stash him. He still needs some work here. I know he's a lefty. I know he's the Cardinals' top pitching prospect. But right now, he didn't look that great so far in the first 3 starts of his career. May 21st to Pittsburgh, 4 2/3, no decision. 7 hits, 4 runs, 2 walks, 3 Ks. May 28th versus the Brew Crew, 5 innings, got the win. 2 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 6 Ks. And June 1st, he got lit up at the Chicago Cubs, 3 1/3, got the loss. 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 walks, and a K. So he failed to get a quality start in those 3 outings. His longest outing was 5 innings. And the Cardinals here, they're going to go in a different direction now. I think we could see Liberatore up in a few weeks to a month here. But right now, there's no reason stashing him on your roster after he's come up with some underwhelming performances. And the 5th and final pitcher I look to drop this week, Freddy Peralta, the Milwaukee Brewers. So Peralta, it's been a so-so season so far for him in the early going. But now, with a bad injury that's going to keep him out indefinitely, is Peralta with the lat. We've seen guys be out for 2-3 months with lat injuries, and that's what it's looking like here for Peralta. So on the season, 38 2/3, 3-2 record, 33 hits, 19 earned runs, 13 walks, 50 strikeouts, which still was great. Almost 1.5 strikeouts an inning, and 2 quality starts, but a 4.42 ERA and a 1.19 whip. So right here, I think this Milwaukee Brewer team, they're going to take it easy with Freddy Peralta. They should be a team that either wins the division or gets one of these wild card spots. Possibly here is this Milwaukee Brewer team. So they're going to take it easy with him. They still got their 2 big horses, obviously, and Woodruff, even though he's on the injured list, but should come back soon. And obviously Corbin Burns and even guys like Eric Lohr and Ashby have been pitching good baseball. But right now, it's a big blow for them, and it's a big blow for fantasy owners, with definitely the upside and the prowess of Freddy Peralta. The last few games for him, May 10th at Cincinnati, 5 2/3, got the win. 4 hits, a run, a walk, 8 Ks. May 16th versus Atlanta, 7 innings, got the win, 2 hits. No runs, a walk, 10 Ks, quality start. And then May 22nd, it just wasn't right for him, where he left with the lat injury versus Washington. 3 innings, got the loss. 6 hits, 5 runs, a walk, and 2 Ks. So right here, he's going to be out probably to August or September. And in most of my leagues, he's been dropped here as Peralta. So right now, I would drop him. I wouldn't stash him on my injured list. And when it's closer to time, if he does come back at all this regular season, you pick him up. But I think he's an easy drop this week. So that's a few pitchers I would drop here for week 9 of the fantasy baseball season.